Riley Gaines because she complains about beating a trans person in the Olympics, but doesn't complain about losing to cis women. Like, if you're going to complain about not winning the Olympics, just don't complain about people you dislike being in the Olympics. You can complain about the people that beat you as well, though, she doesn't speak about the unfair advantages that these other cis women had over her.
The title of this hearing implies a much needed discussion. We're likely going to be forced to listen to transphobic bigotry. Forcing a transgender child to choose between living an authentic life and playing a game is cruel. I ask that while we sit through this hearing and hear the hateful misinformation I'm sure is going to come our way, let us not forget that children are at the core of this issue.
There's a place for everyone to play sports in this country. But unsafe, unfair, and discriminatory practices towards women must stop. Inclusion cannot be prioritized over safety and fairness. And Ranking Member Lee, if my testimony makes me transphobic, then I believe your opening monologue makes you a misogynist.
Well, no, you are transphobic. Nobody is like pushing you to do anything just because there are trans people, just or in sports. It's funny how these people never cared about sports until trans people started playing in sports or being more open about being in sports.
Well, that was a fiery exchange, and that was Riley Gaines going after squad member Summer Lee during a hearing on women's rights in sports. Riley Gaines joins us now. Riley, you called out the Illinois State Women's Cycling Championship because two transgender women took first and second place. What can you do about that?
What can she do about that? Well, she can get better at cycling if she wants to take first place. This whole entire debate about trans people in sports is entirely stupid because trans women don't have some kind of biological advantage over cis women in sports.
Well, I'll tell you what I think needs to be done about that. I've been saying for a while now, and granted, I didn't always think this. At first, I didn't think women should boycott because I didn't think it's us who should have to compromise. I was waiting for the people in the position to make changes, to do the right thing, but that's a naive thought. But now
You wanted people to do the right thing. They are doing the right thing. You just don't like what the right thing is.
I do believe women should boycott these events where men are competing, and I've been saying this for the past few months, but it's time it's incentivized. And so after some conversations with some different people, I've decided now that I will personally and happily pay the prize money that a woman were to lose out on. So in this photo here, the girl who placed third.
I'm curious, if they believe that trans women have a advantage against cis women in sports, does that mean that men have a disadvantage in sports against cis men and should then be required to play on the women's team in sports? If that were to happen, how pissed off the right wing would be claiming that, men are competing against women in sports.
Behind these two men, the prize money she lost out on, if she were to concede and doesn't compete, I will happily pay her the money.
Now, you want to have any woman being asked to compete against a transgender woman drop out, boycott, don't race, don't run. That what you're saying?
I think it's effective. I think that's how we.
Okay, good. We can have all the transphobic people drop out of sports and make sports better because we wouldn't have people like her causing a fuss over nothing.
Send the message that enough is enough and that we as women aren't going to put up with it anymore. Because right now, what we're being asked to do and what we are doing, what I did at that national championships, is we smiled when we stepped aside and allowed these men onto our podiums. And it's not because we're okay with being discriminated
You're not being discriminated against, and they're women, so there is no discrimination going on. It's women standing on the same podium as other women.
against on the basis of our sex. It's because we're being told to. And as women,
Though it's funny how right-wingers don't believe in discrimination until they want to manufacture discrimination against themselves. And then that's when it exists. Racism doesn't exist until there's racism against white people. Discrimination doesn't exist until, white Christian men and women are being told that they can't force their beliefs and rules on other people.
and of course, we're more emotionally driven. We're more empathetic. We're more likely to be people pleasers. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But guess what? It's not. It's
Well, she wants to talk about, she wants to claim other people are misogynistic, while she's being misogynistic, claiming that all women are the same.
shouldn't be. It's not. It doesn't make you not compassionate to call out an injustice when you see it.
What do you think of this? The president of an LGBTQ advocacy group says that women should, quote, learn to lose gracefully to transgender competitors. Any response to that?
Yeah, right-wing transphobic people will have to learn to uh, lose gracefully towards other people, just like racist white people had to learn how to lose when it came to black sports players getting into sports.
Well, it's funny because it's the president of the National Women's Law Center who said that. So it's not even technically an LGBTQ advocacy center. It's a women's center who said that. And let it be known that this women's center has not released a statement yet condemning any of the violence going on against the women in the Middle East, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Well, that has nothing to do with violence against women in the Middle East. Okay, so you want to talk about violence against women in the Middle East. What about the Israeli government killing tons and tons and tons of innocent women and children? Because the right wing is supposed to care about children, yet they support the government supporting a government that is killing kids.
This woman who said that about losing gracefully. First, let me be clear. She was talking to me specifically. I didn't lose to Thomas, the 6'4" man who competed against me at the national championships.
Yeah, she actually beat her, which means that trans women don't have some kind of biological advantage. The person that beat Leah was a cis woman. So does that cis woman have a biological advantage against other women?
Which is kind of embarrassing on his part that he couldn't beat me. We tied. So I certainly didn't lose. And secondly,